Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Leilui nishmat Mirosi Rusbas Mordechai. Sponsored by the MDY family, still going strong. Leilui nishmat Yerachmiel ben Yisroel Olav Shalom, Yehoshua ben Boruch Nosson Olav Shalom, and Yosef ben Shlomo Zalman Olav Shalom. That's it for today. This guy goes this way. Okay, shkoyach. More? Rabbi Isai, where in the world do you do daf? We're starting to compile pictures. This is from, it says at least, Shmili Leibovitz. In Cancun, that's where he does the daf. Hi, thanks for making the daf an enjoyable experience. I also want to thank you for your beautiful charts and props. It really enhances my learning experience. Special thanks to my special father, Avrumi Leibovitz. That's Avrumi. I didn't even read this. Now I chap. Yeah, his name is Shmili Leibovitz. This is Nachum Seltzer's a good friend, Avrumi Leibovitz's son, for introducing me to this amazing shir. Gracias. He already speaks Spanish because he's in Cancun for 2 days. Your Talmud, Shmili Leibovitz. I met him in Borough Park, Cancun, Mexico. Beautiful, beautiful. I called up Nachum yesterday. I was very, very disappointed. When I got home, I realized we had such a missed opportunity. We were saying the words, Shomati Shohoyu Oimrim Ashri Mishabolkan. I had no idea that it's the famous Shweki song. Shomati Shohoyu Oim. And you didn't even help me, nobody. You were just singing. Oh, you guys were singing up there. Yeah. It was a big balagan down here. What about Vahoya Bayoy Mahu? Regesh, forget about the ones from 20 years ago.
Seltzer's too young for Regesh.
All right, this is from Jack Aber. You mentioned this morning chesed for rich people. I was on a trip to Chicago and received a call from a major New York giver, secretary, if I can bring back salami for him from Romanian salami. You know, there's a guy I know drove from New York to Chicago to pick up a pack of Romanian hot dogs and go back just for the shtick, just to say he did it. Drove back and forth. Anyways, to make a long story short, he says, between getting a driver to bring it to me and pick it up from my office in New York, the next day, it was a $1,500 salami. The fellow called me to offer me a free dinner reserve cut. Unbelievable place for my efforts. Mamish Gashmis. This is America. Gashmis. $1,500 salami. I'm talking in front of a koil guy here. I mean, that's like a year's salary, basically. I told him, no, thank you, and I'd rather a bracha, listen to this, a bracha, that it should be zoicha to do chesed for a needy person as easily as I did it for the rich guy. Good Shabbos, Yaakov Eber, Lawrence, New York. Now, Yaakov Eber, I believe I was in your house. Maybe you remember. I used to be very good friends. I still am, but I haven't spoken to him since he left Chicago. Ariel Aber, I think that's your son. And my son, Luzzy, who's 14, was best friends with your grandson. Brother. Really? Jack and, oh, okay. It's brothers. Okay, now it is. So I wasn't in your house. I was in your dad's house. This is from Dov Farkas, real quickly. Greetings from Australia, and thanks again for the daily dose of inspiration. A Maisa Shahaya regarding yesterday's sugi about marrying a Bas Kohen. I'm just a regular balabas. Yes, I went to Jewish day school my whole life. I went to yeshiva in Israel for after Hazia, but I'm no Talmud Chacham. Welcome to the club. I'm talking about myself. 19 years ago, when I became engaged to my wife, who aside from being the Rosh Yeshiva's daughter is also a Bas Kohen, we remember that he married the Rosh Yeshiva's daughter because from his famous video, it's on Yeshiva World News. I was called in, well, maybe not that part. I was called in by a great tzaddik and chassid in Melbourne, Reb Ariel Sarabransky, Olav Shalom, wanted to see me. This is Dov Farkas, she's the chazan in Melbourne. He said to me as follows: anyone can marry Rosh Yeshiva's daughter, but only a Talmud Chacham can marry Bas Kohen. So you maybe commit then on the spot that for the next 30 days in the lead up to the chasana, we would learn Masechtas Megillah every day. So at the time of the chasana, we would have finished the Masechta and I would be qualified to marry Bas Kohen. You see a sight from here. If you learn one Masechta from beginning to end, Megillah, there's a famous story about Megillah. We're not going to go there. That a person learned Megillah, and at the Levaya, Megillah came to the Levaya. A whole Maisa. Beautiful story. You have to understand that Reb Ariel, Olav Shalom, was a busy man. He was learning and giving shiurim from morning to night, hardly stopped to eat or sleep. Yet this issue was so important to him that he found an extra hour every day that he didn't have in order to ensure that I'm a ritz, when I marry a bas kohen. Wow, it's a nice, he didn't slash you on a chira from top to bottom. Warmest regards to you and all your chevra. Dov Farkas from Melbourne. All right, there's so many more emails. Gewaldige stuff. We have to go. Is Heinach on today? Did Heinach come back? Oh, maybe no, that's tomorrow. That's Tuesday. Okay. Tana Rabbana. We're holding 7 lines from the bottom of Daf Nun Amud Beis. Koisvei Sfarim Tefillin Umezuzas. Stam. The Seifrim who write Tefillin Umezuzas. Sefer Torah. Hein v'tagareim. The Seichrim, the guys who go, you buy from a store, or tagareim, the final store, or the wholesaler in between. V'chol ha'iskim v'leches shamayim. Anybody who sells esrogim, anybody picks himself up from Ramat Bet Shemesh and goes to America to sell esrogim. La'asuyei moichri tchelas. People who sell tchelas. This stuff. The blue strings for the tzitzis. Einon royin simon bracha lo'olam. Rachmal Islan. They don't see a bracha. If it moiskim l'shma, they don't do it for money. Then they'll see a bracha, royin. Why? Because then the concern is that if they make too much money, they won't sell it. There'll be a shortage in the market. People won't have mezuzahs. So that's why the daven we had yesterday, the daven 24 tanesim. Maybe that's not the concern so much with Sregim and Lulavim. Who? That's what I was talking about. I said a person picks himself up. Zog the Gemara weiter. B'nei Baishon. We're plugging your business. Boruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh b'dvaroi. Larry Pearl, I've seen him a few times on, but his face on, that's what I want to see. I saw his name. You know who else is on? A big guest. We have a big guest. Rabbi, we have a big guest. Leon Welcher is on. He's been gone for a week. It's good to see him back. B'nei Baishon. So now, Rabbi said we're going into minhagim hamakayim, different times that you cannot break a minhag, different times that you could break a minhag. How does Gebrux, for instance, fit into this whole sugya? B'nei Baishon. There's a place, Baishon. Nog deloy azlim mitzor letzidon b'malish shapsa. It's 100% mutter to travel from Tzor to Tzidon Erev Shabbos. They accepted upon themselves a chumrah yiseira. Also, Benayu Kamed Rabbi Yochanan, so the next generation came to Rabbi Yochanan and said, our fathers were too machmir, we got to get out of this. Give us a heter. Omru loy havasin efshaluhu anan loy efshalon. And they said, our parents, they could afford it. That's why. So they didn't have to go on Friday. It wasn't a big deal for them. We are struggling. We need to go. We need to travel on Friday. It's too late. Once your fathers, your forefathers accepted a minhag, even though it's not an isser, a chumrah. Shenemar shma b'ni. What's the song? I hear somebody in the kitchen. Saravicha vialti toish toirasi mecho. Okay, good. We're getting there slowly. The whole olam was together on one note. It's beautiful. Come, Levi, come here. Get out of the kitchen. Come here. You want to sing? So, do you guys hear him on Zoom singing from the kitchen? You don't even hear him. Levi is upset that we didn't sing Ashri Misha Balakan, so he's singing Shwek in the kitchen. Top of his lungs, you don't hear him. Okay, good. Shma b'ni Musa Ravicha Val. This is the main point. Val Tito Ishtoira Simecha. You cannot break away from your mother's tradition, so that's it. You're stuck. As you're going to see, if a Talmud Chacham Rabbanim, they establish a minhag, like the Brooks, even though everybody knows it's not asur, but it's a minhag, it's a chumrah. They took upon themselves a chumrah, so that chumrah is something you can't break. But this is different. B'nei chayzai na'agid mafresh achala ma'aroiza. Excuse me, it's coming back. Break the diet once, that's it. Na'agid mafresh achala ma'aroiza. They had a minhag. No, you'd say it's a chumrah. They used to take hafrashas challah from rice. We saw Yerachmiel ben Nuri holds that rice is like one of the dagons, and you make a hamaitzi, birkas hamazon, you could be yaitza, but that's not how we paskin. And they took challah off of rice. Also, v'amru leilui Rav Yosef, so they told Rav Yosef, Amar lahu, it's not a good minhag. Neichla zar ba'apayu, I want a Yisroel to go ahead and eat the challah, which is designated for a kohen, right in front of their faces. Eisvei Abaya, so Abaya, Rav Yosef's Talmud asks, Dvarim amutorim v'acherim nagu b'misur. Things that are mutter, gebroxt. It's mutter, but other people were noyeg isser in it. They said it's asur. Iya torishoy la'atiron b'fneiim. You're not permitted to break the minhag. So why you, Rav Yosef, are saying, why are you saying to break the minhag of rice? Now, before we go to the answer, I just want to point out, the Ramah says, never to make fun of anybody's minhag. Every minhag has a source and a reason why it was created. There's a story that they say over about the Ramah. I'm not prepared to say it in public now, maybe after Shir. Interesting story. People said Mazel Tov in a certain situation, and the Ramah said it's not sneas, and then he broke the minhag, and then there was a tremendous takala from it afterwards. That's the rumor about the Ramah behind this halacha that he said. The Magen Avram does say that if the Metzias changes, whatever they said that they're doing a minhag because of a certain situation, that situation no longer applies. I don't know, like I remember when I was a kid, there's a certain Hasidus in Muncie. I remember seeing, I know the Hasidus, they wear boots, like huge boots during the summer. The whole, you guys know about it. Okay, so does that? I don't know how that works exactly. It doesn't. We don't have snow in the summer. It doesn't apply. I don't know exactly how that works. Each thing to itself. But that's what the Magen Avram says. When the Metzias is not there anymore, you're no longer in Europe, where the snow is very high during the summer. I don't know that in Europe. I don't know. Who knows what it was there? Why the minhag is? I just threw that out. Fine. Says the Gemara, Omar lo, v'lav mi itmar Allah. But there's a little exception to the rule. As we're going to see the sugi later. Omer av chizda bekusai. A kusi. What's a kusi? Big famous machlokes in Shas is a kusi, a ger emes, a ger arayis. Let's assume a kusi is a true Jew. But that we know the kusim were never so makbid on the mitzvahs, unless whatever they would call themselves, they were makbid more than Yisroel. But this they weren't so makbid. So what's going to happen? You're going to break their minhag. So they're going to assume in their head, oh, look, we had a mitzvah. It was called, I don't know, wearing boots, let's say, in the summer. And you went and you broke it. So now we could eat treif chazi. You could break that also. They're not going to differentiate between a minhag and not a minhag, so it's going to become a takala. So when it comes to kusi, you don't break any minhag. So Mamela, these people, bnei choizoi, are like the kusim. So he says, kusoi, says Abaya, what do you mean? Kusoi my time mishum le misarchi milsa. Hanachin shenami sarchi milsa. So I don't understand. Look, at the end of the day, these people in Mechayza, something bad is going to happen here. Why? Because look, this is rice. This is a giant pot of rice. This tiny thing is the challah that you take from this giant pot. Here's a giant thing of dough, and here's a tiny piece of dough. So Memanav Shach, there's going to be something really bad here. Why? Because if you take the dough from here and make challah, let's go the simple one. You take the rice from here and you make it challah on the dough. So now you come and you eat the dough, there was never any challah taken. You took rice for the dough, and that doesn't work. That's terrible. What's the other thing that might happen? You might take a piece of small dough and give it to the kohen. For what? To be yaitza challah on this rice that doesn't need challah. The kohen is going to go and eat this dough. That's a problem. Why? Because if the dough was real challah on regular dough, then the kohen has permission to eat it. But if the dough, which never had challah on the challah, you're just giving a small piece of challah, it's truma, and you're telling the kohen, go ahead and eat it. Why am I be mafresh it for the rice that doesn't need it? Then the kohen is eating a piece of dough that's tevel. You hear? You don't hear. If he doesn't hear, I have to say it again. Forget about the rice for a second. If I take a small piece of dough and a mafresh challah on a giant piece of dough, could the kohen eat this? 100%. It's truma. But what if I take this little piece of dough and I say I'm mafresh it on the wall? It's instead of the wall, it's the challah for the wall. Could the kohen eat it? No. Because this piece of dough, I never took truma from it. I never took a piece of challah from this piece of challah. There's no chiyuv. So if I take this piece of dough and I make it challah on the rice, what did I do? I made a joke. There's no kedusha in this piece of dough. So how does the kohen have a right to eat it? I have to take a little piece of dough off this small piece of dough and make that challah so that the kohen could eat it. And that never happened. So memelo hanochinche nami sarchi milsa. They're going to ruin it. Elomar Rav Ashi chazinon. Well, it depends. If most of their bread in that town is made out of rice, we got to feel bad for these people. So then we're not going to break their minhag. We're not going to eat their challah right in front of their face. Because they're going to forget about the whole concept of challah, these amaratzim. So don't break the minhag. But if they eat regular bread, let's break their minhag. Why? Like we just explained. You hear? They're going to take from ptur on chiyuv and chiyuv on ptur. Now, it might be kedai to just jump into Tosfos for a second. If you look 3 lines down from the top of Tosfos, Hainu sheyodim shehein mutarim, a minhag that everybody understands is mutar. As far as I understand, even Hasidim understand that Gebrux is 100% mutter. They understand that it's a major chumrah, so that's a perfect minhag. They want to be machmer on themselves. It's something that's mutter. But if somebody made a mistake in halacha, he doesn't know, they thought, they made a minhag shel shtus. For 200 years, they made such a minhag. Who cares how many years? But it was established based on a mistake. Yachol lahatir b'fneim, you could go to a Rav and he could be matir. Okay, so that's another halacha to throw this in. Says the Gemara, Gufa, dvarim amutarim v'achirim nagam b'misur. Something that's 100% mutar, but people took upon themselves the isur. Iyat rishoy latirim b'fneim. Omer Rav Chizda, and this is the Rav Chizda we had a second ago, Bikusoy Askinon. We're talking about people that were concerned that if we're going to break their minhag, amaratzim, they're going to come to be mekel and other things. So Mela, let's not break their minhagim. Let's keep it as it is. Bekula al maloi. What? People are not amaratzim, don't have an issue. So now, Rabbi said, we're going to go into a very, very easy Gemara. We could fly through it. It's 3 stories that are almost identical. 2 of them happened with the same brothers. The third one happened with their father. Mamish identical. We're not concerned for chashash of mishkrav zachar with 2 brothers. They could bathe together. However, in the city Kovel, they had a minhag to be makbid on 2 brothers. We had the story with the 2 sons of Gamliel, Yehuda and Hillel. They went to the town Kovel and they bathed in the bathhouse over there. And everybody's talking about them. You have to understand. They never left their city, it seems like. We never seen such a terrible thing. And so Hillel, remember, I couldn't find the picture, but the mikvahs in those days had the mikvah, the bathhouse, the actual bath, and they had an inner room where people got dressed, and the outer room where people came in. So he ran out to the other room. You don't want to turn around and say, you're a bunch of amaritzim, It's 100% mutter. There's no chashad between the two brothers. What are you talking about? So, in order not to make a whole confusion over there with the Amaratzim, with the people that are like kusim, he snuck out. Yoitzim bekurda keson. I have a picture. Kurda keson is a very loose shoe. Somebody's wearing, let's say, a larger shoe, and something like this could slip off on Shabbos if he walks outside. So what does he do? Ein b'Shabbos. Vein yoitzim bekurda keson b'Shabbos bebeiri. However, in the place called Beiri, you can't walk with Crocs. Story with the two sons of Hillel. Rabbi Gamliel. Yehuda and Hillel. They went out with their Crocs bebeiri on Shabbos. And everybody laughed at them. We never saw anybody walking around with Crocs. So they ripped off their Crocs. They gave it to their slaves. And they didn't want to say, what are you talking about? It's 100% mutar. You're permitted to sit on the benches of non-Jews that b'Shabbos, they would do their business on the benches. They would sell their schayra. And we're not concerned that if you sit on the bench, people are going to be chayshid you that you were selling something here on Shabbos. But in Akko, they don't sit. You don't sit. They had a meeting not to sit on the goyish bench. The goyish Gamliel, the father of Hillel and Yehuda. He sat. Everybody started laughing at him. We never saw this nishmat. He sat down on the ground. And he didn't want to tell them, what are you talking about? It's 100% mutar. So what's the question? The question is, why not? Why didn't he tell them? You're allowed to tell people, so these are stam people. Rav Chizah said, when it comes to a kusi, you're not allowed to tell them. But everybody else, you're allowed to tell them the truth. You see, Rabbi Gamliel didn't tell them the truth. Rabbi Gamliel's sons didn't tell them the truth. Why not? They weren't kusim. Says the Gemara, B'nai Medinas Hayam, these people, or B'nai Medina, Kivin lo ishchichi Rabbanon Gabayu, since they don't have Rabbanim there, Kikusim Damu, they're like the kusim. We have to treat them like kusim. They're amaratzim. They're not gonna. It's not such a funny story, but how does it go? There was a Amaretz in a place that didn't have a Rav. So they asked him, how do you paskin halachas? What do? You don't have a Rav. He says, not a problem. I'm always machmer. Like what? He said, like one time, my goita at home, she took a bar of butter and she put it into the meat and she cooked it. No, so what did you paskin? I said, it's tos akum. Tos akum is not a problem. You don't have to be machmer. But then she sewed, something like some silly story. She sewed the pants on Tishas Hayomim. So you have to be machmer. So maybe I didn't wear the pants. I didn't have pants. So whatever, one of these mices. Fine. I'm sure Yisroel Shalitsky will send me the true mice of how it happened. I'll go upon him, a place that has no rabbanon. Imagine you live in a place, you don't know halacha, anything, so you have to treat them like kusim. That's why they didn't tell him the truth. There's no chash with brothers. There's no chash with a bench. There's no chash with cracks. But we're not going to tell you. Explains the Gemara. When it looks like you're selling something on Shabbos, okay, I could hear why they were choishish and aku. Because the kesoin, when it comes to these slippers, nami dilmo mishtalfen vasilas yuni arba amis b'shus rabba, maybe they'll fall off on Shabbos. You'll carry 4 amis b'shus rabba. What's the concern when it comes to brothers? Kedisanya. So over here we're saying the chash is not like in the beginning of the sugi of Mishkav Zachar. It's different. Imakol or imkulam adam roichetz. Yeah, what's the girsa exactly? No girsa. Imakol adam roichetz. You could bathe with anybody. Chutz me'aviv, besides with your own father. The concern is that you're going to start saying, that's where I originated from. V'chamiv, same idea. Ubal imoy, a hearer to his sister, that's what Rashi says. to his mother. Ubala choisoi, and a heir to his sister. Rabbi Yehuda matir ba'aviv. Rabbi Yehuda says you're allowed to go to the mikveh, to the bathhouse with a father, mipnei kvoid aviv, to help him out. V'uhadin lebalimoy, and the same thing to a mother's new husband. V'asu inu v'gazu b'shnei achim mishum bala choisoi. So they came in the city. Where was it? I forgot already. Shnei achim b'kovel. So in kovel they said 2 brothers are also asur to bathe mishum bala choisoi, because it'll be confused with the husband of a sister, right? It's similar. A brother and a brother-in-law. So we're geyser. Tano Talmud lo yirchatzim rabbi. A Talmud should not bathe with his Rebbe. Why not? Because you have to regard your Rebbe in the highest esteem, and when you see him unclothed, it'll go down a little bit. What about to see your Rebbe's stomach, like a groise boich, let's say he has? Is that mutter? You might not think of him the same way. What do you say? What do you say up there? I'm not joking. So the Ramah says that if his Rav covers the erva, in other words, he's wearing a bathing suit, so it's mutter. So groise boich is mutter. That's what I learned from the Ramah. V'im Rabbi tzarech loi mutter. If his Rav needs him, so it's 100% mutter. I don't know if this story is true. I heard of Maisa, Repichas Scheibering, everybody knows, war, I don't know how many pairs of tzitzis, talesim. And a Talmud went into the mikveh with him to help him. First of all, they say he was extremely skinny. He was very thin. He looked ginormous. I remember him when I was a kid. This is over 40 years ago. I remember walking around in what's the name of that place in Yerushalayim? Madesdorf. And my uncle still lives there, Rabbi Savitsky, and he lives a little bit in New York, in Kensington. But anyway, so I was visiting my uncle and my Zaidi, Rabbi Savitsky, and I remember him there. But so the Talmud sees him, it's helping him, and the Talmud didn't want to get wet. It could be it's just the vitz, I don't know. But this is the mice they say. So he took off his shirt and his tzitzis and he hung it up. And then he comes to get dressed and he can't find his tzitzis. So Scheinberg says, I saw some nash, I couldn't help myself. Anyway, Zok the Gemara. What's going on here? Rebbe Avram Weisfish, how are you? I'm getting to you. Yishkoyach for the pictures. Where's Gary? He left when I need him. I wanted to unmute Rebbe Avram. Get ready. We got to ask you some shilas here. When he comes back. Rebbe Avi Epstein I just saw. Ki asa Rabba Barbachana. Oh, here we are. We're at the sugya of Avram Weisfish. You could unmute yourself? Okay. Rebbe Avram, unmute yourself for a second. Ki asa Rabba Barbachana ochal. How do you call this? What's the lashon? What? The Yisroel. With a suf, right? Just want to make sure. It's not like a paralyzation or parathesize, whatever the word is. Okay. This is the picture in Tmunei Chol, in the sefer that everybody uses, but we have it much better. Much better. Look what Rebbe Avram took last night, straight out of the Shlachtos. Here he is, Rebbe Avram Weisfish, holding the Yisroel. If you look over here, it looks like a bow, the stomach. And there's the upper part right over here, and he's pointing to it. You see, he's pointing to the Yisroel. And this is the chaylev underneath the bow. We're talking about this. In Eretz Yisrael, they used to eat this piece. If you want to see it closer, he even gave us a closer picture. Right over here. It's the same thing. Right over here, and there's the lower one. Great. Yishkoyach Rebbe Avram. Look at this. He comes prepared with his knives. Everything's unbelievable. Where does he do daf? Right over here in the Shlachtos. So I said, you got to put a Gemara there or something. He says, no, we don't. You can't. Zog the Gemara. Yeah, Rebbe Avram, you have anything to add? Once you're on and you have this thing, it's unbelievable. We have Zoom, we have you live. What do you have to add over here? Anything? Zog. No. Yishkoyach. He says. What?
the ayatollah is fat, which is on the keva.
Yeah.
The keva is one of the 4 stomachs.
Right. Okay. This is the keva. It's one of the 4 stomachs. The ayatra. So now you said it with a tough, yishkoyach. The ayatra. I knew it was that. Okay, fine. The ayatra is right above here, but not below here. We're talking about this part over here, and Eretz Yisrael, they ate it. Says the Gemara, Ki Yosef Rabbi Bechano achal the ayatra. U'ligabei Rav Aviro Saba Rav Reder Rav Huno. So now he's in Bavel, he's eating, he's continuing his minhag to eat this fat. And all of a sudden he noticed that the Talmid Chachamim are showing up. Kivin the Chazinu Kasiyah Minayu, so he covered it right away. Also V'amr LaAbayis, so Rav Aviro Saba and Rav Reder Rav Huno snitched on him. They told Abaya, he's hiding it. Omar Lahu Shavinchu Kikusai. Rabbi Bar Chana, who's eating this fat, is treating you like a kusi. You guys are amaritzim kilu in front of him. He can't eat in front of you. We can't break him and hug him in front of you. Frek the Gemara, what's going on here? Rabbi Bar Chana, Leslie Hadasna. We learned in our Mishnah. When a person goes to another city, he has to take upon himself those chumras. That's only when you go from one city to another city within Bavel. You go from one city to another city within Eretz Yisrael. Or even from one country to another country, going from the bad place to the good place, from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael. Bavel, like Rabbi Baruch Chana came from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel. We in Bavel, we have to be subordinate to the people from Eretz Yisrael. Why? Says Toisves. When it comes to Isser v'Heter, they have smicha. They learn Torah Barabim, says Toisves. Toisves Avira Eretz Yisrael machkim, says Toisves. The ear in Eretz Yisrael makes them smarter. So we are subordinate to them. Avdinu kavasayu. It's a little bit problematic, this language. Rashi explains it. Then when they come here, they can do what they want. Doesn't fit in so well? Okay. Ravashi Omar, Afilu Teim Eretz Yisrael Bavel. Even if they came from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, and the minhag HaMakom in Bavel is not to eat this fat. It's dafka when he doesn't have intent to go back. So this creates a lot of issues for people that come from America to Eretz Yisrael, and from Eretz Yisrael to America for Yontif. How do you deal with 2 days of Yontif? Daitei lachzor, not daitei lachzor. Some people say, even if you want to be here for 30 days, it's kilo here. There's more. There's a whole machloikis from Moshe Feinstein. A lot of zachen going on. So Rabbi Chana tells his own son, I just ate this stuff. Givaldik. I don't allow you to eat this ayatra fat. Even when I'm there in front of me, don't eat it. And certainly not when I'm not there. I saw the Galador Rabbi Yochanan in Yisroel eat it. Then I have the right to eat it wherever I want. But I cannot give you that tradition. So Memela, what does he say? You can't even eat it in front of me. You can't. There's never a situation where you, my son, could eat the chaylev. Says the Gemara, he argues on himself. He's negotiating with himself. In a different place. Just want to say, we're learning, or I'm learning. The refuah shleima for Anat Bas Loria, and she's a woman that sits in front of Yesh every day. She's very, very poor, and she has a lot of tzaras, and somebody asked me to learn for her. She's having surgery today. Sochli Rabbi Yochanan ben Elazar. Pamachas nechnasti achar Rabbi Shimon ben Rabbi Yosi ben Lekonya Legina. We're talking about the year of Shemitah, and now we are turning to Nun Aleph. Rabbi say Nun Aleph. 50 daf into Masechtas Pesachim. Can you imagine? Time flies when you're having fun. It's crazy. We just started Shas, but a few days ago. It's already more than a year. We just turned, sponsored by Gedalia Fenster, L'Refuah, Shlomo, Yerachmiel, Daniel, Ben Tova, Basha. I don't know, for some reason, one name, Geshmak, you could say it with Kavana. V'natal svichei kruv v'achal. So what's going on here? Svichim are not what you planted. Svichim is what grows after you already harvest everything, and all of a sudden just pops up again. Some seed was left over. Svichim, the aftergrowth. Says Rashi, the Machlekes Rishonim, what's going on here, but according to Rashi, we're talking about after the time of Biur, right? As we had yesterday, when there's no longer anything in the field, so then you're mechuyev, there's the animals outside can't eat, so you're mechuyev to be mevar your whatever you have at home. What exactly Biur is a major Machlekes Rishonim. You just take it out of your house and mafkir, like Gershon. These people, they don't go to the mikvah because of COVID. I mean, they go everywhere else, but they don't go to the Tehillim mikvah because it's super dangerous over there. So what they do is, they take their Tehillim, they put it on the front porch, and they write on the chat, Hefker for 20 minutes. So basically that's what they do over here. You take your fruit, and you write on the chat in the time of Beis Hamikdash, Hefker. By the way, I encourage everybody to leave WhatsApp today. We should all leave WhatsApp because of what's going on. First of all, they're going into your privacy. I don't want to get politically, but what they did over there in America, terrible stuff. It's becoming socialist. We should all leave. We should all leave all their groups. Hayom. But anyway, halavai, somebody should get together and just... Yes. We're all on Telegram, but Yosef said he doesn't want to push Telegram, but I think we should start pushing Telegram. Just in the last day, I got over 10 messages that people are leaving WhatsApp, they're going to Telegram, so we might not have a choice. But at any rate, get ready for it. But they're going into your thing. Now WhatsApp, you push a thing that they have the right to go into your private thing. They can look at your bank information. They can do whatever they want now. It's not so posh. Okay, fine. Conspiracy theories. The same people that said that the vaccine, they implanted chip in you. Okay, I hear. But anyway, he took these svichim of a cabbage. Now we're going to see that cabbage is different than any other vegetable. We even had it. You can take a cabbage, take any leaf of cabbage, put it in the ground, and it'll grow again. So if you leave the cabbage in there, it could stay there forever. V'nasan li va'amar bini. Now based on what he said before, my son, you can't eat anything. Not in front of me, not in front of me. What did he say now? Bini, b'fanei echol. You could eat because I'm here. I give you the right to eat. Shlei b'fanei lo yisoichal. But not in front of me, don't eat. No, so he contradicts himself. Ani sharisis Reb Shimon ben Yochai. I saw Rashbi. Can you imagine who he saw here? He saw Rashbi. Sha'achal. He ate the svichim. Kedai Reb Shimon ben Yochai. Lismichal b'fanam. Shlei b'fanam. I forgot what I remember when we said this last time. Kedai Reb Shimon lismichal b'shas atchak. It doesn't say it over here, but last time we had it, it's a beautiful vart. Kedai Reb Shimon. I don't know. Maybe it's a song even. Kedai Reb Shimon lismichal b'fanam. Shlei b'fanam. So Reb Shimon, since I saw him doing it, so I could be soimach, I could use his minhag even when Reb Shimon is not here. You just be soimach in front of me, but not in front of me, not. So he's arguing himself because a second ago he said, even in front of me you can't eat. The Meiri says befanai means when I'm alive. Okay, fine, alive, not alive, but the point is there's a difference between in front of me, or when I'm alive, or when I'm not alive, or not in front of me. My Reb Shimon, who's Reb Shimon bar Yochai? What did he say? The sign Reb Shimon Oimer, Kol hatzvichim asurim chutz misvichei kruv. All the aftergrowth of all vegetables is asur besides cabbage. She'en kayotz b'hem k'yerek hasada. There's nothing like a cabbage in yerek hasada. By the way, do we have time here? I missed an opportunity. By invei agefen, I think I might have even said it last time. But who reminded me? Another Talmud Chacham, a Rebbe in a yeshiva, I forgot his name already. He lives here in Snir. But anyway, Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach says, there's nothing like a grape. The grape needs itself, it needs another thing to hold it up. Every fruit grows off a tree. The grape needs that little vine to catch on, says Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. And that's what it means. You need something else to hold you up. So you have another beautiful family, or I think it means the wife, it's a combination of two things that hold it together. Because the grape itself will just fall on the ground and be destroyed. You need that little guide, that little vine thing that catches on to the whatever it is, to the vineyard to be successful. Anyways, he says the same lashon over here. The kruv is different than any other vegetable in the world. Now what? It stays from year to year. MMA law, it doesn't have offshoots. It's not like a little seed fell into the ground and all of a sudden a piece of wheat grew. That's not what's happening here. It's the same kruv. It's like a tree, like the roots of the tree that just grew more fruit later on. So it's not really a sfiach, and it's mutter. So it never left the field. It was never, the chayes hasada, don't eat it. Here it is in the field. They don't argue. Who's Rebbe Akiva? Rebbe Akiva is Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai's Rebbe. Klal Yisrael are going to complain. They're going to say, look, we're not going to plant, and we're not going to be able to gather the wheat. Obviously, if you don't plant, you can't gather. It's just to say, we're not going to plant. We're not going to plant. It's like it's two steps. We're not going to plant, and guess what else we're not going to do? We're also not going to harvest. Well, yes, you can't harvest if you don't plant. Says the Gemara, so therefore Rebbe Kiva Darshan, Zom Rebbe Kiva, you know how they grew without planting? They grow by themselves. They just drop as you're harvesting without you planting. That also the Torah is telling us, don't touch those. So then where's the machlokes? Nobody's going to argue in a metzias whether the cabbage has the ability to grow from year to year or not. Do we say loy plug? Yes, we say loy plug. All vegetables are the same. We don't say that a cabbage is the same. Cabbage is different. We learned in the Mishnah, you go from a place, let's say, that they do malacha Erev Pesach, to a place that they don't do malacha Erev Pesach. Don't do malacha. Act like the place that you're going to. Always be machmer. And if it's a place that you used to not do malacha and you came to a place that they do malacha, so don't be maker like them. You should be machmer and don't do malacha. Ask the Gemara a very simple question that everybody should have the answer to themselves. I understand that if they don't do malacha in the new place, you're not going to drive a car or do a malacha where nobody does it. That everybody sees that you're doing malacha. It's a big problem. You should not change because of a machlokes. Don't make a machlokes. But in a place that they're not makbid, so why should you continue being makbid? Let him do malacha. Nobody will notice that he's doing something different. He's not making a machlokes. But we said that he has to be makbid like from the place that he left. Why? In this place, everybody's doing malacha. They're burning, making fires. They're doing all sorts of malachas deraisa, things that you're not allowed to do in Chol Hamoed, let's say. So why can't he do it? What's the problem? Amar Abaya, not the answer that you would think. Areisha, you're right. He could continue doing. It was talking about the other case. In a place that they don't do malacha, now you have to be makbid not to do malacha. But if you come to a place that they do malacha, and you, in your place, they didn't do malacha, now you could start doing malacha. Rav Amaloi lo maseifa, v'achika amar, ein bezu mishum shina machlokes. So Rav is saying that, no, you continue doing your minhag, which is don't do malacha. Everybody's doing malacha. Everybody's driving. Nobody's going to think, look at this guy, he's not driving. He's lazy, he doesn't want to drive. Why is he walking to the makol? Because he's lazy. Why is he not doing this? Because he's lazy. Nobody's going to say, he comes from that place and he's doing a different minhag, and they'll make a fight with him. Right? So the Rosh points out that that's dafka in a situation when there's a minhag. So when there's a minhag, then you break your minhag in order not to have a machlokes. Says the Mishnah Berurah, but if it's a Isur D'Rabbanan, you shouldn't say to yourself, I'm a nice guy. I don't want to fight with anybody. So it's only the Rabbanan. And in this place, they're not makbid on the Rabbanans. You go to a place, a crazy place. You find yourself in some city, they don't know halachas. You're going to come into shul and you're going to be makbid on something. And everybody's going to start laughing at you and say, you frumak. Get out of here, from it. You have to fight with them, says the Mishnah. You have to stand up for the halacha, even because it's the Rabbanan. The only time you don't stand up for a thing is when it's only a minhag. Everybody's going to say that this is because they're batlanim. Rabbi said, I know we ran out of time. Real quickly, if I have a minute here, because tomorrow we'll continue. If somebody comes from America to Eretz Yisrael, but if somebody comes from Eretz Yisrael to America, like I do every single Pesach, besides last year during Corona, so there's a few interesting halachas. One halacha that I didn't know, and I'll tell you right now, the halacha I didn't realize. You must say the Haggadah with everybody else. I didn't know that. I thought I just showed up for the meal and had a good fres. What about Maror? Maror I don't have to do on the second night. Why? Because nobody will know that I didn't do Maror. But Haggadah they'll see, so you say it real quickly. You have to wear Big Day Shabbos. If everybody's wearing Big Day Shabbos, second day Yontif, you're from Eretz Yisrael, you only keep one day, you have to wear Big Day Shabbos. Few interesting halachas. Chalamoyed, you wear tefillin betzina. But let's say Sheichtim, Avram Weisfish, Eretz Yisrael goes to England and he wants to shecht over there, let's say in a secluded place. Nobody's there, he's not allowed to because it'll become famous, everybody will know that they did a shechita, not allowed to. Kivri Tzadikim, it's the middle of a cemetery, nobody's there. You don't have, not Americans, not Israelis, it's just a stomach place. So everybody can do their own minhag, it says. And finally, if you're outside of the tchum in America, you're allowed to do melacha, but if you're in a place that everybody's not religious, also to do melacha. Tomorrow we'll continue Be'ez Hashem with the halachas of reverse, which is more neged to the olam. People that come from America to Eretz Yisrael, have a wonderful day. Shem Alois Mamakim Chasicha Adoinoi. Adoinoi Shmo B'Kolit. Yenas Dach Koshavis D'Kol Dach Nonoi. Im Abinoi Zishmoya Adinim Yamoi. Imcha Slicho Leman Tivorei. Kivisi Adonai Kivson Nafshi D'Dvorei Cholti. Nafshi L'Adonai Mishemrim L'Boiker Shemrim L'Boiker. Yisrael Nikman Yisrael Be'em Yifdus. With this is Yisrael Mikav and Yisrael Achnik with Yisrael and Sunim Betzov. Shivi Oim Den Bein Bayom Bein Bayabash Amakim Rachim L'Misim Yisrael L'Boiker L'Boiker Yisrael L'Boiker 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 Ben Tzinovak Shalom Aleichem. Ma nishma? It's a big...
Oh, Betsy, good morning.
Rocky!
How are you? Good morning.
Great day. Yehuda Barkai, Ma nishma, Yehuda. Shalom Aleichem. Where are you from? LA. LA. Did I ever say hello to you?
No, it's my first time.
Oh. Here, you see, I got that Tfiyas Ayin. There's only 71 people on. I picked them out like that. You see that? Ah. Rocky, what's the story with that lady? She's the lady that sits right in the front and she's tzedakah, tzedakah, tzedakah.
No, she used to sit in front of Shefa Show. And she has like a whole bunch of medical problems, but today she's having surgery on her arm because they messed up her arm. They like ruined all her muscle. She can't move at all. Her arm.
So how's she going to go like this?
That's a problem.
It's a problem. Maybe she has, what is it called? Carpal tunnel. She has carpal tunnel because she went like this. Really? A year and a half? This minute?
No, we were over the past 2 months. We've learned just like the past 2 days. We reached like 41 subscribers.
Really? You hear this? We have. Oh, sorry. What are you saying? Sorry.
So this actually what it puts from the Steel Chassidim. It comes from some Chassidim wearing white socks and some black socks on Shabbos. And when he was a Chassid, everybody wanted to know what he's going to wear. And because of Machlokes, they don't know what to know. People just talk both and nobody can see.
You know, they sell socks that nobody could see. That's the new minhag. You know, like when I play basketball, I wear my old socks, and everybody's like, "Ha, look at that guy! Look at the socks. They come up to his knee." The olam now they have socks they don't see. That's the minhag. Maybe because of this machlokes. So instead of wearing big boots, you wear short socks, and then there's no machlokes. I hear it. Beautiful. You see how stam choshid. I remember as a kid looking at these guys. 120-degree weather, and they're wearing these heavy boots.
They wear the pants and the socks. There was a lot of mud and
You know, the guys in Eretz Yisrael, they wear the pants and their socks when they ride their bikes, so it shouldn't get stuck in the chain. It's a minhag. So only on the right side, their kids are only going to wear their pants in the right side. I didn't hear. They're making a lot of noise here. Something about a minhag in the chat. Great day. Yeah. Yeah.
He's not helpful he helpful goodness, and he didn't.
Did he get you a Slurpee? Yes or not?
No.
Ah, shagets. Tell him. You tell him he doesn't get you a Slurpee, he's fired. He's fired. What do you mean he's not there for MDY? He's getting paid a salary when he's there. He has to get you a Slurpee. I don't care what it is. I didn't pay for his flight. But the least he could do is buy the CEO a Slurpee. Mamash a chutzpah.
Good morning, Rabbi.
Listen, good morning, Gedalia. Yoel, listen, when you speak to him next time, say, if you're not here for MDY, so why did you go convince Reichenbach to join this year? Go ask him. Why did you go convince people to join this year? Just ask, don't say names. If you're not here for MDY, how is it? Ask him a shayla. And he'll say, yeah. He says, why didn't you get me a Slurpee? You hear? Yoel, what are you going to say? I want to hear you. Repeat the question. I need to hear you say the question.
If you're not helpful, why did you people to join
The Daf. Yeah. Yeah. And Yossi Schloss, what's going on, Tzaddik? Were you not on a day or two? Because I don't remember seeing you. You're there every day? Every day?
Every responder is, and if you're one of the 5 persons, it gives you a
What happened? What says?
Not only that,
If I miss a share, catch up on YouTube and I'll later.
I don't have a problem. I'm just saying I noticed that you weren't there. That's all I'm saying. Yesterday, yeah? It takes me a few days. I don't notice right away, but all of a sudden I realize, like Leon, it suddenly hit me that he wasn't on for like a week. It took me like a week to chop it. Takes time. Yeah.
So I was in Measure for Shmooze many years ago.
Yeah.
And over there, because there's no minhag amakim, because no Yidden live there, so the second day Yom Tov, a lot of the Israelis did not keep the second day Yom Tov.
Oh, so that's like a kivrei tzaddikim that I was saying.
Yeah.
That's mamish what I said. Kivrei tzaddikim.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Zalman, did you stand up for your cousins the squares? Did you make a machar?
You're saying that the American Hasidim. It's very interesting.
It was a very insulting day. He was afraid that we would kick it with their boots.
Good night. 1 minute, Rabbi Tursky, I don't chap. What about Mezhbish like 200 years ago? There's no that minhag doesn't stay? So once they leave for one day, the minhag disappears with them? That's how it goes? A few days, a few months, whatever it is. Okay.
And a personal minhag.
There's no minhag amakim now because there's no minhag amakim there.
It's very difficult. It's not minhag amakim.
It was weird because we're the Americans, we're the Americans, we came to this Yom Tov with the Israelis, and it's a chutz la'aretz. There's, they're taking pictures, their cell phones, they're for Hestia. Guys who drove in from Uman to measure bush on the second day, barbecue, and it's like a one-big party.
Well, it's the same thing that you have in Eretz Yisrael when the Americans are coming out of shul on Simchas Torah and all the Israelis are in the bus and driving around. I know. I hear the difference. I hear. You're in Chutz La'aretz. You go by Minhag HaMokim. I forgot to mention. I have it here written down. You go wherever you are. Yeah, I didn't get there. There's other halachas I didn't say. Yeah.
Yeah, but the Minhag HaMokim is not so simple. It's only if you're there with your family. In other words, you have to be there as you're establishing that you're going to be there like away from Kavua. So Bacher Yeshiva is Kavua. If he goes to Eretz Yisrael, he does Minhag HaMokim in Eretz Yisrael. Or if you're going with the entire family to Eretz Yisrael, so it's already Kavua. But, but if you're going yourself, you have to keep, then you're master.
Right, but you know what's interesting? I mean, svara-wise, if I were to write a Shulchan Aruch myself, I would go like the Balatanya. I mean, it makes the most sense. Why should... You're in Eretz Yisrael, you go like Eretz Yisrael. You're in America, when you're in Eretz Yisrael, you say V'sein Talam Matal Levracha when Eretz Yisrael says it. I think that's a... You go by what it is. It's a very strange halacha, but the Shulchan Aruch doesn't pass like that. Yeah, it's very... But I think the Sfardim also, the Sfardim have their own thing of like, wherever you go, I think. I think that's also, that's, yeah.
Now understand something. I know a place that...
This is Larry Pearl. Rabbi said this is Larry Pearl speaking. Unbelievable. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
Big deal. In Kutzlar, and Israel meaning for the first answer. Bunch of Israelis.
With tefillin?
The shul, the main meaning that for Israelis, the main meaning for Kutzlar for Israel people.
And what, they wore tefillin? They wore tefillin on Chalamayid over there by themselves? Like...
I don't know what we're trying to learn behind, but I got this. On the second answer, the main meaning for Israelis.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea, personally. I don't know. There's a problem of tzina. You have to do it b'tzina. You can't do it. You can't. Let's say, could you on the second day Yontif, could you wear your jeans or your shorts, your slippers? You can't make a 10 people like that. What?
You dress Yontif. It doesn't matter what meaning you go to, but you dress Yontif.
Okay, so I'm saying, so if you dress Yontif, how could you daven a different davening? It's the same thing, getting dressed and davening. You're showing that it's not Yontif. You're doing it barabim. You're doing it b'fer hesia. You're showing it's not Yontif. For us 10 people, it's not Yontif. I don't think that's right. I don't know what the Allah is. It doesn't sound good.
How bad is it I don't put on tefillin on Chalamayid?
No. Litvaks don't put on tefillin on Chalamayid, but Gronics do. Gronics and Hasidim.
No, my father puts on, but I never put on Chalamayid.
Kakafte delay monach tefillin. Ay. Listen, I don't know. Oh, now you're talking about breaking a minhag. Now you're breaking minhagim.
Says to him, "Did your father read the Chalamayid?" He says, "He goes, my father never watched film." He says, "No, Dad, because you don't watch film Chalamayid either."
Is it an
No. There's a minhag this way and a minhag that way. Your father wears tefillin on Chalamayid? But you want a timeout. You're Litvish. You're not Hasidus, right?
Yekis.
So Yekis don't wear tefillin. Oh, they do. That's the problem.
I told you, Zalman, they don't consider us Chassidim.
A guy. That's what a guy said yesterday. I got an email like that. Shlomi, I got an email. Listen, Fivish, hold on a second with your kfira. Hold on a second. I got an email from Hochhauser. Hochhauser says, listen, you said, when you read my email, you said that the Lubavitchers think that you're Lubavitch. The Hasidim think that you're Hasidim. Oh, is a raya that you don't think that Lubavitchers are Hasidim, because he put them in two categories. That was his whole email. But Lamaisa, we have lumdim here. We have guys that are listening and medayik in the words. Unbelievable.